Hi, my name is Aziz, a member of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. You are welcome to part 5B of the course, Bookkeeping up to Final Accounts. Today I'm going to talk about setting up accounting system for clients, and then I will discuss sales ledger. Now, if you are privileged to be asked to set up a system for your client, you have to play the role of a system and of a business analyst. You have to have an inquiry in mind because the client will give you information. They give you details which they will consider too private, and they need to trust you, and they should trust you because as a professional you should know that among the things that are taught in accountancy is the importance of clients' confidentiality. Extremely important. Now, in setting up a system, you will obtain information from your client about the organization's structure, the organization's policies, pricing policies, their strategy, especially marketing strategy, the objectives of the organization, that is what they choose, what the organization aims to achieve, the market, and how things are done, that is the operation. Now, the aim is to set up or recommend a system that meets the needs of your client. The system that we have set up for Joe Blocks Auto Services Limited are aimed at one, minimizing the risk of providing services for which no payment will be made. That is, avoid providing unauthorized services for which no payment will be made. Because if you provide a services for which no payment is made, you will incur a loss. Because the cost that you have incurred to provide those services will include salaries, rent, rate, materials, and so on and so forth. Those are costs that will go into providing services. And if you are not paying for those services, there will be a loss. And any business that operates like that will not be around for long, really. So the system is also aimed at ensuring that fees are agreed with clients before services are provided. The clients are happy that the services be provided at the agreed fee before you proceed to the next stage. The system also aims to ensure that fees due are charged in the correct period and that they are correctly and completely recorded. Those charges must also be based on what they call full cost recovery. That is the fee that you charge your client will cover all the costs that you have incurred in making the business. Direct materials, labor, etc., overhead, and a proportion of your overhead with a bit of profit element, so that will provide an incentive for you to remain in that business. But you also have to bear in mind that the price that you have charged or about to charge your client is not more than what other people in the same industry, other organizations in the same sector charge. Otherwise, you will price yourself out of the market. That is not, nobody wants that. So the system we have set up for Joe Blocks Auto Services Limited works like this. When a corporate client, a corporate client, one of the limited companies that give that use the services of Joe Blocks Auto Services, when that client want vehicles to be serviced, they have to raise a purchase order. They will raise a purchase order because their driver has informed them that a vehicle needs servicing or is due for an MOT. Now, the driver will bring that purchase order to Joe Blocks Auto Services Limited like this. Now, if I use this as an example, okay, this is DON, one of the corporate clients of Joe Blocks Auto Services Limited. They will raise a purchase order, an internal purchase order, and clearly label it. Clearly number it, date it, and then state the vehicle that needs servicing. Now here, on this purchase order, there are 3 vehicles, each of them requiring service and MOT. The first one, if I use that as an example, is vehicle registration number DV7AW2. At the time of raising the order, the price of MOT is known. That's £40. MOT is £40, okay? The driver of the vehicle is stated on the on the purchase order, but in the service, in the box that the cost of the service is supposed to be, you will see TBA, that is to be agreed, because the services to be provided will not be known until the vehicle has been thoroughly examined. So the vehicle is brought to the garage by the driver. So when it gets to the garage, a visual health check is carried out. As you can see, this is a visual health check carried out on vehicle registration number DV7AW2 and the vehicle driven by Mr. Kinnock. The vehicle gets to the garage and it is inspected thoroughly by the mechanics. Now, here are the keys which describe how each problem found on each vehicle is described. Yeah, these are the keys. Now, if an item is regarded as requiring urgent attention, the sign is red. Okay, it's given a red color. If the sign is amber, it means the attention is required, but it's not very urgent. If the sign is green, it means that item has been inspected and found to be okay, so no action is required there at all. Now, in this case, for instance, under wheels and tires, the tire have been checked and found to be heavily cracked. Therefore, they need changing. Okay? And the same thing goes for all the other items here. Like another one is exterior light. The light needs changing. That has been marked down. So, engine oil has been checked. Yes, engine oil needs changing. That has been marked red. Okay? Now, after all this has been done, the inspector of the vehicle put his signature there. One of the mechanics will sign. For instance, in this case, it's going to be Mr. D. Amin. He will sign. Okay? What has been done will be quality checked. It will be quality checked by the supervisor, and the form will be passed. Okay? Will be passed to the driver of the vehicle to sign. Look at if the vehicle checked, it will be quality checked by Mr. Joe Blocks. Okay? Joe Blocks will, because he is the overall supervisor. Okay? So he checks to make sure that it's okay with the quality of the work carried out, of the inspection, sorry. And then customer authority. The customer, in this case, will be represented by the driver, Mr. Kinnock. Mr. Kinnock is the driver. He signs to say that he's okay with the inspection and is quite happy for all the repairs stated, recommended to be carried out. So he communicates all the details to his boss, and the boss then gives the go-ahead for the repairs to be carried out. Now, once they are happy for the repairs to be carried out, a job card is issued. Here is what a job card looks like. This is the job card for this vehicle. Yeah, let me go to vehicle DV7AW2. Okay, the job card states the time the vehicle, the repairs and servicing will commence, and the end time and the total time spent on the job, which indicates 2.5 hours. Now, what we have to do here, change tires. That took half an hour to change. And the rate per hour is £22.70 an hour. Now, how did we arrive at £22.70? We have used this charge out rate for the mechanic. Now, we used number of years, number of days in the year, number of working weeks, and so on and so forth. This is how it started. Okay? Number of working days in the year is 365. Okay? If you take 104 Saturdays and Sundays out of that, you remove 104 Saturdays and Sundays. There are 104 Saturdays and Sundays in the year. You remove that from 365 days. You remove number of public holidays including bank holidays, etc. 8 days in this case. We take that out. We also remove the number of annual leave that the mechanic whose time is being charged out, the number of annual leave that the number of days of annual leave that the mechanic is entitled to, that is also removed. So that leaves off the number of working days in the year for that mechanic. Now, the mechanic works 7 hours a day. Multiply that by 7 hours, and you look at total number of hours, working hours in the year, 1,596 hours. Okay? Now, to work out the hourly rate for this mechanic, we look at the salary per annum. Okay? We look at the employers. This is another cost to the employer of employing this mechanic. The employer has to contribute national insurance contribution of 13.8% on behalf of this employee. That is a cost to the business. The employer also has to contribute 7% pension on behalf of the employee. That is another cost to the business. If you add all those things together, you get that the total cost of employing this mechanic is £30,195.96 for a whole year. If you divide that by the number of hours that the mechanic has to work in a year, it will give you an hourly rate of £18.92. Now, we have also advised our client to add 20% of this cost, 10% of this staff cost, and call it overhead. Overhead means rent, rate, electricity, gas, and so on and so forth. Because those are costs due. So, that gives you a total hourly rate of £22.70. Okay? That is what has appeared on the job card here. It has taken this mechanic half an hour to change 2 tires, and the charge out rate £22.70 an hour, which means it costs £11.35 of that of staff time to change those tires. Now, inspection of vehicle also took that mechanic 1 hour. At £22.70 an hour, that gives you just £22.70 an hour for that. Okay? The driver also changed the stereo light. It changed and it drained and replaced engine oil and so on and so forth. So added to that is the price of VAT for that vehicle. So that gives you a total labor cost plus VAT of £96.76 for that vehicle. Now, the exterior lights that were changed, or the tires that were changed for the vehicle, were taken from the stock and sold to the client. Okay? This is the price list. Tires were the item here, each of them were bought. We have the cost here. But then Joe Blogs has a practice of adding 20% to the cost in order to make its own profit, and then sells it to sells each item to the client at cost plus 20%. So we have added that to the job card here. So this is the job card. Okay. So the total cost, including materials of fixing this car and getting it ready for me roadworthy, to make it roadworthy again, is £672.76. So that is what will be passed to the bookkeeper. This job card will pass to the bookkeeper so that she can use it to issue an invoice that will be sent to the client. So I am going to now look at the invoice that I have here. I think I have an invoice open here. Yeah. So the invoice went to the client, but then the invoice is now ready to be posted to the nominal ledger. Now, how do we do this invoice? Now, the accounting treatment of the invoice, I'm now going to explain. Okay? In the sales ledger, you debit the entire amount plus VAT to the customer's account, because the customer has to pay everything to Joe Blogs Auto Service Limited plus the VAT element. In the nominal ledger, you credit the net amount excluding VAT to the sales account in the nominal ledger. The net amount. Leave the VAT out. Okay? The VAT amount will be credited to VAT payable to HMRC. That is VAT charged on sales. You have to pay that to HMRC, so it's a liability. You have to credit the VAT element to the VAT or output VAT account. Again, the total amount plus VAT, that net amount of VAT, will be debited to sales ledger control account in the nominal ledger. If you do it that way, your trial balance will balance, and this balance on your sales ledger will agree with the balance in your debtors control account or reconciliation account. The two will agree. You see, that is how it's supposed to happen. And that is what we are going to do. I'm going to demonstrate that now by posting this invoice. First of all, I will tell you about this invoice. You can see that the invoice here clearly indicates the purchase order reference number of the client. Without this reference number, the company Joe Blocks will not be paid for this service. These services, for which the client is being billed, will be deemed not to have been authorized without this reference number. Okay. Now this is the client's purchase order, which I'm going to show you. Right, as you can see clearly here, is number 155. Number 155. And the invoice that is going out to the client, or that has already gone out to the client, which is now going to be posted into the nominal ledger and the sales ledger, has got that reference number. Okay, clearly also the name of the driver of the vehicle is stated here on the invoice. In addition to that, there is an instruction here to the client to please make their check payable to Joe Blocks Auto Services Limited. And if they are paying by bags, they choose to pay by bags, the payment should be made into the company's bank account. I've shown the bank account and the sort code there. Their aim is to avoid diversion of the company's money into private pockets. I mean, you know the implication of that. So, let me now deal with the posting of this invoice. Okay? Like I said before, the sales ledger and the purchase ledger must always agree. The debtors control account in the nominal ledger, okay, must always agree with the balance on the sales ledger. At the very moment, the balance is zero on the debtors control account in the nominal ledger. In the sales ledger, the balance is also, I think, zero, because it's a clean slate. We are just about to start posting transactions into it. Okay? Now, let me now deal with this invoice. Okay? Now, the general ledger, this is the invoice. Now, the first item here, I've already coded the invoice. General services is being coded to code number 4000. Account reference number 4000. Code. Okay? That I'm going to deal with first of all. Okay? Now, I'm going to look for that in the nominal ledger. First of all, let me put the whole thing, the whole amount, in the sales ledger for the customer. Okay? That is, the customer in this case is DON. DON, one of our customers. DON. DON. Okay, so the invoice date is 15th of April, 1504 2020. MOT materials and services. Invoice 13. And the invoice now amount, this is now going to be debited. Everything, including VAT, will be debited to the suppliers and to the customer's account. Yeah, everything, including VAT. So, because the customer has to pay all of these, okay, to Joe Blocks Auto Services Limited. So we have done that. That's everything. That is the amount that is owed by the customer. Everything, including the VAT. Now, if I go to the nominal ledger, okay, go to account code. This is a sales income code, by the way. Sales, general, sales, general invoice, general servicing, sales. So we are going to credit it with the net amount of the sales. Okay, say DON. Yeah, general servicing, invoice 15, whatever. Okay, then we look at the amount here. What is the amount? £56 and 76 pence. 56.76. Okay, now the next item is MOT 4030 in the nominal ledger. Again, it's a sales item, so it's going to be credited 4030. Okay, 15042020 DON MOT invoice 13. Yes, again, it's going to be a credit item, so it's £40. £40. The next item, which is sales item, again credit materials, because we have sold materials to this company. So the code is number 410 in the nominal ledger. So 4010, okay, and then date is 15042020 DON MOT invoice number 13. Yeah, materials and parts. What is the amount? £576. £576. 576. Again, credit. Now, what is going to happen now is the entire amount, including VAT, is now going to be debited to debtors control account or reconciliation account. Okay, trade debtors control account 1600. That's the code. Okay, now fine, next. Yeah, debtors control account. The date is 15042020 DON MOT sales and services invoice 13. Now the entire amount, including VAT, okay, 807.31. Okay, 807.31. Okay, now the VAT element is now going to be credited to VAT charged on sales or VAT payable to HMRC, and that makes it a liability. Okay, so I now need to go and look for that code. Okay, in the nominal ledger. Okay, it's not here. Okay, VAT on sale, VAT payable to HMRC, because when you charge VAT on sales, you are acting as a tax collection agent for HMRC. You have to pass it on to HMRC. You see, I will explain the mechanics later. So, DON's invoice ref, invoice 15, and what is that VAT amount? The VAT amount is 134.55. 134.55. So let us look at what has happened here. Where is our TB? Now first of all, the balance on the debtors control account is 0807.31. Okay, and what does the sales ledger say? If I go to the, 807.31. So the two ledgers are communicating correctly. Okay. Now, what about the trial balance itself? The trial balance itself is £56.76 out. Why is that the case? Now, let me go and look at what happened to VAT control account there. So, VAT on sales, which is a liability. Now, there's a linking issue there. Payable on sales, yeah. 134.55. Now, something has happened here, which is stopping the balance from balancing. £56.76 is the amount, and I believe the culprit is somewhere here. Yeah, MOT general servicing. Something has gone wrong with that. So let's go look at it. Right. Sorry about that. I will fish out the source of the problem in a minute. Yeah, that has not been linked. You see, it's not been linked. So 4,541. Yeah, that's what I've done there. Sales general servicing, I have debited instead of credited. Now that's totally wrong. So hopefully everything should be fine now. Okay, now. Yeah, so the trial balance has also balanced. So we are okay. The sales ledger and credit and the sales ledger and the nominal ledger at the debtors control account have agreed. And the trial balance has also balanced. As you can see, the balance on the sales and debtors control account is 807.31. And the balance on the sales ledger is 807.31. And the trial balance has also, thankfully, balanced. Thank you. Now, the next thing I'm going to explain is the mechanics of the sales ledger. Like I said before, the sales ledger is a database for customers' details, really. Now, in the database, you have master data and then you have transactional data. The master data of the customers are data, refers to data that will not change. Yeah? That is, they are also known as permanent records. You have customer's name, you have the address, things that are hardly change, that will hardly change. Okay? You have the telephone number and so on, VAT registration number, and the credit limit that you are giving to the customer. You know, those can change credit limit can change, but you also have things that can hardly change. Unless, for instance, unless the business relocates, the address is likely to be the same. Businesses don't change their name very often. So that is, you can safely regard that as part of the permanent data. VAT registration number hardly change. Okay? They rarely change. That you can safely regard as the permanent data. Now, when a customer's account is set up in an integrated system, I've seen that happen in SAP with SAP, the SAP software. It is at that setting up stage that the reconciliation account is actually put in the customer's account, so that when transactions are posted into the customer's account, the nominal ledger will also be automatically updated. Sales will be credited and VAT account will be credited automatically, and the debtors control account will also be credited automatically. Now, if I come to the other side, the other kind of data that you find in the customer's account in the sales ledger, they are known as transactional data, and they refer to the day-to-day transactions that you enter in, that you actually put into the record, like the sales amount, VAT, etc. Transactional data, they come and go, they change, so those are not permanent. So it is extremely important that the sales ledger and the nominal ledger communicate on a real-time basis. If they do, you will not have to spend a lot of time reconciling the two accounts, the two ledgers, every month or every year. Unless the system has been messed up. If double entry bookkeeping rules are observed and with proper supervision, and if the environment is relatively stable, you should not have any reconciliation. You should not have to waste a lot of your time and money reconciling all these things, doing a lot of reconciliation at the end of every month or at the end of every year. Everything should just automatically balance. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. And please do like, share, and subscribe. And I shall see you in my next video. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.